Welcome to another video on the C programming video series. In this video, we will write the very first program using the C programming language. Now, before getting started, I hope you guys have watched the other videos of this video series. I hope you understand what is C programming language, what is a compiler, and I believe you guys have installed a C compiler and a text editor. You guys can use VS Code or Code Blocks or any other text editor. Now, once you have done all these things, we can go ahead and we can write the very first C program. So now the first question is what we want to do in this first program. Generally, the first program a beginner writes in any programming language is about displaying some text on the screen, popularly known as the Hello World program, where we display the text Hello World on the screen. In this video also, we will do the same thing. So what we have to do here, we have to write the instructions using the C programming language to display some text on the screen. So we need to create a file and we have to write the instructions on that file using the C language. Then we have to compile that. We have to produce the machine code and then that machine code is executed. So here I'm using the Visual Studio Code and I have this C workspace. Inside this, I have this programs folder. In this programs folder, I will create a new folder by clicking on this new folder icon. I will call it as Hello World. Now, after selecting this Hello World folder, I will click on this new file icon and I will create a new file which will contain the C code. Now, this program is about displaying Hello World text on the screen, and that's why I will give the file name as Hello World. Always provide the meaningful name for the files. Now, after that, the most important thing is the file extension. The file which contains the code written using the C programming language should have the extension .c. So here we will provide .c as the file extension and then we will hit the enter button. It will create the Hello World file, hello world.c file, and it will open up here. Now we can click on this Explorer icon and close that tab. So now here we have this file called as Hello World, and here we can write the instructions for this program. Now when we talk about the writing programs, we do some of this stuff in all the programs. For example, taking the input from the user, or displaying some text on the screen, or finding the average of numbers, or converting the text from lowercase to uppercase or uppercase to lowercase, etc. All the programming languages provide something called as built-in features, part of the language, which will do these most often done things. So when we install the C compiler in our computer, we get the built-in features from the C programming language, which will do these most often done things. And these are provided in the form of C standard library. So whatever the thing that you want to do in your program, if it is available as part of the C standard library, then all you have to do is you have to use that feature and you can write the program. You don't have to write the instructions to do that particular thing. Now, for example, let us say I want to convert a text from lowercase to uppercase. Now, if there is a functionality available in the C programming language which converts the text from lowercase to uppercase, then I can directly use it in my program. Else, what I have to do? I have to write the instructions to convert the text from lowercase to uppercase. If it is already available as the feature provided by the C programming language, then I don't have to write those instructions. It will save me time, and also the code available from the C standard library will be efficient. So now the question is, okay, when we install the C programming language, we have the access to C standard library, but how does it work? How do we get to use the features? Now we will talk about one important concept in C programming language, and it is called as function. what is a function? A function is a group of instructions which are written in a specific manner to get a particular job done, and these group of instructions will have a name. For example, in order to find the average of some numbers, we can have a group of statements, we can have a group of instructions which will perform the calculation to find the average. And what we can do is we can group them and we can give a name, for example, average. So this group of instructions with a name which will do some specific task is called as a function. Now let us say we want to find the average of the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What we have to do, we have to use this function, and to use the function, and we just have to refer that by its name, which is average. And we want to find the average of these numbers. So we can say we want to use this function average and we want to work it on these values. So we can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the group of instructions which are labeled as average will perform the operation on these numbers which we have provided, and then they will return the result. So we can use this name, we can provide the values, and it will return the result. Okay, we will talk about the functions in detail in the upcoming videos in this video series, but right now just remember that the building block of the C programming language is something called as function. A function is a group of statements which are given a name which will do some specific task. The C standard library contains these functions which will do the most commonly done things, which will do the most commonly done task. So they are part of the C standard library. So in this program, what we want to do, we want to display some text on the screen. The C standard library has a function with a specific name. It takes the text that we want to display on the screen, and then it executes the instructions and displays the text on the screen. So here in our program, what we want to do, we want to use that function. We want to use that feature. In order to use that feature, in the beginning of the program, we have to say, please include the files which contain the feature to display the text on the screen. To include that file, we will use something called as #include. It is called as a preprocessor directive, which we will talk later in the video series. So just remember that we are including the file which is containing the feature to display the text on the screen, and that file name is called as stdio.h. And here, after writing #include, we will write less than symbol and greater than symbol. Between those, we will write the file name which is stdio.h. .h is the extension for something called as header files. Again, we will learn about them later in the video series. Just understand that when we include this file to our program like this, we get access to the feature which is already available in the C programming language, or we get access to a function which is available already in the C programming language, which will display the text on the screen. Okay, now the next thing is, where does the program starts execution? Where is the entry point of this program? As I said before, the building block of the C programming language is a function. In C programming language, the entry point or the beginning point of the program's execution is something called as a function with the name main. Here, what we have to do, we have to create that function. In order to create that function, we will write int main and then a pair of parentheses and then a pair of curly braces. What are these things? Here, this main is the name of the function which C programming language considers as the entry point. Generally, every program that you are going to write, using the C programming language, we'll have this main function. This is the entry point. Now, before this main, we have something called as int. What is this int? Now, when we talked about the functions, I said that a function is a group of statements which will do some specific task. To these group of statements, we can provide the values to work on, and after working on those values, it can return some result. So this int here means that this main function returns a result which is an integer number, which is a whole number. Okay. And then we have a pair of parentheses. So what are these parentheses? As I said before, the function can take the values to work on. Those values are provided between these parentheses. Here, the main function that we are writing will not take any values. And that's why we are not writing anything here. So it will be opening parentheses and closing parentheses. And then we have something called as curly braces. Opening curly brace and closing curly brace. What are these? So I said a function will contain a group of statements. So how do we know that from this point the group begins and this point the group ends? So these curly braces will do that job. When we have this opening curly brace, it means that the statements which are part of this main function will begin from here. And when we see this closing curly brace, it means that the statements which are part of this main function will end here. So between this opening and closing curly brace, we can have many number of statements if we want, which will be part of this main function. Okay. So now what we want to do in this main function. So now we know that this is the entry point. The program will start execution from this point onwards. Whatever the statements or the instructions that we are going to write between these curly braces will be executed. So what we want to do in this program, we want to display some text on the screen. For that, we want to use a built-in feature available in the C programming language. And that feature or the function is called as printf. So we will write printf and then we will have a pair of parentheses. Now, as you have imagined, this printf is the name of the function. It is the name given to a group of statements which will do the job of displaying the text on the screen. Now, between these parentheses, we have to provide the value, provide the text that we want to display on the screen. So we will have the opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis, and here we will write the text that we want to display on the screen. In this case, it will be hello world. And after that, we will have a semicolon. This semicolon indicates that this statement ends here. Now, the last thing that we do in this program is we return some value from this main function. For that, we will have return 0. Why we need to have this return and what is this value 0? Here, while writing this main function, we said that the group of statements inside this main function will perform some calculation and then finally it will return some integer value. And that's why when we are done with all the operation, we have to return some value. And to return the value, we can use the return statement. So we write return here, then the value of 0. What does 0 means? In this example, when the main function returns a value of 0, it means that the program has finished its execution without any error. A non-zero value here will have specific meaning depending on the value, called as error codes, which we will talk about later. So just remember that this will return to whoever called this function the value. So who is going to call this main function? That is the operating system. When we run this program, the operating system will call this main function. The operating system will load this memory and it will be executed. And this return value is returned to the operating system, which will indicate that, okay, this program terminated without any issue. Okay, so now we have written the program. In the beginning, we said we want to include the file which contains the feature, which contains the function to display some text on the screen, and that is called as stdio.h, standard input output file. And then we have written the enter point of our program, which is the main function. And then in this main function, we have used the function called as printf. We have displayed the text. Now, this code that we have written here is called as the source code. Now, this is the code in C programming language. The computer doesn't understand this. Now, what we have to do, we have to convert this to machine code and we have to execute that. Luckily, all that thing is done by the text editor or the IDE that you are using automatically. In this case, I am using the Visual Studio Code. All I have to do is I have to run this file. The extensions that we have installed in Visual Studio Code will automatically convert this code to machine code and it will execute them. To do that, to run this file, we will go to the top right section and we can find this run C++ file icon. If it is not available, you can click on this down arrow. You will find the option run C++ file. Just click on that. Now it will open up the terminal window and here it will call the compiler, provide the file. It will convert the code to machine code and it will execute that. Here, if I open up the terminal tab, we can see the output, which is hello world. Now, instead of this text here, you can pass in any text that you want to display. For example, you can say, you can provide your name. But remember that whatever the text that we want to provide, it has to be enclosed in double quotes. When we write the text between the double quotes, it is called as a string. And the text between these double quotes can be alphanumeric. It can be alphabet, it can be digit. For example, I can say 1, 2, 3, go. Now, after making this modification, I will go to file, save the file, and then I will run this file. Now you guys can see in the terminal, we get the output as 1, 2, 3, go. Now I want you guys to experiment with this and try to print different text on the screen. Now, I hope you guys have many doubts and I want you guys to ask them in the comment section. If you happen to have the answer for someone else's comment, please reply to them. I may not be available all the time to reply. So this is it guys for this particular video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later in the next one.